Welcome to the second part of our series where we explore what is NLP. Because a wider understanding of NLP will enable you to get more value from the whole series. Now remember, when we've completed the whole series, you will have that wider understanding of what NLP is, but also you'll have some very pragmatic techniques and approaches to planning your future. In this episode, I'm going to cover 3 descriptions of NLP, because each description will give you a wider understanding of what it's about, how NLP will benefit you, how I've benefited from NLP, how you can use NLP to get the best out of it, a very short exercise, and what comes next. 3 descriptions of NLP. NLP was started about 35 years ago when the 2 co-founders, Richard Bandler and John Grinder, modelled people that were exceptionally effective at helping others change. And they've been developing models and improving the way NLP works over the 35 years that followed the start. My first definition of NLP is basically an attitude of curiosity and interest that enables us to explore people that are very successful to find out what it is that they actually do. And exploring what they actually do, we can then create techniques where we can help other people improve their results. So the key elements of NLP are about attitude, it's about modeling good performance, and that in turn produces techniques which enable others to improve their results. The second definition builds on that slightly. It's really NLP is an exploration of how we think, how we communicate, and how we change, which in turn enables us to find out how good people produce results, how we can actually improve on those results that good people already achieve to help others produce results. Now the third definition comes back to these words Neuro Linguistic Programming. Now the name Neuro Linguistic Programming actually came from when Richard Bandler was caught speeding in New York. The cop who caught him speeding got him to stop and asked him what he did for a living. Now at that time they hadn't come up with a description of it, and so he had to make something up on the spot. And he saw 3 books on the stairwell of his car, a book on neurology, a book on linguistics, and a book on programming. And he simply read snippets out from the 3 titles. Neuro Linguistic Programming. And that's how the name was born. But the name's quite useful as a description, because the neuro bit refers to how we take in information. And the only way we get information from the outside world is through our senses, through what we see, through what we hear, connecting to our feelings, to what we taste and smell. And the better we let that information in, the more we tune up what we see, the more we open our ears, the more we are aware and in contact with our feelings, the better information we get from the outside world. And the better information we get from the outside world also means the better we're able to communicate outwards to influence people outside of ourselves. So the neuro bit is reminding ourselves that our senses are very important. The linguistic bit is about the power of language. Not only the words and the structure of the actual words, but also things like the rhythm that we speak, the pauses that we use, the congruence that we speak, all have an impact. So NLP is the study of not only the meaning of words and the way we use words, which is incredibly important, but also all the things that impact the way we communicate those words. Programming bit, and it may now not be a popular metaphor to consider that humans are in any way like computers, but in this context it is a useful description. Human beings learn all the time. Most of the time we learn stuff that's really useful to us. But sometimes we pick up habits that aren't useful. We may pick up ways of smoking too much. We may pick up strategies that cause us to hesitate when we ought to just go in and do it. We may learn to drink too much. Now, curiously, if we break down the specific steps we go through to do all those things, they may be unconscious to start with, but by asking the right questions, we can bring them into consciousness. By getting people to explore the exact steps they go through to achieve any action, then by changing the smallest bits in those steps, we can often greatly improve their performance if they're already good, but also if they're doing something that's not worthwhile, we can actually get them to change so they do something that is worthwhile. So those words, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, are a very useful description of what NLP is about. Why does NLP add value? The first reason is that it produces results. NLP is a modeling discipline. It's about taking ideas, approaches from really successful people and testing them out and refining them on others. And we keep testing, we keep refining them until the people that we're working with get improved results. It works, and it works quickly. The second reason that in the way we've developed for approaching NLP, we found that it's about not just how we think logically. Thinking logically is very important, but it's only a part. It's how we think logically, how we use our emotions, how we open to our intuition, and almost how we use the thinking that occurs through our whole body. It's a combination of all these thinking processes that now enables people to unlock their genius and their high performance. And curiously, although we've started off by modeling others, the reality is that we will get you to improve your performance because you will connect with the abilities that you already have. It's not that you're going to copy somebody, but you're going to be using somebody else's skill to unlock and grow that skill within yourself. And curiously, NLP is an incredibly good amplifier. The things that you're good at, you'll become really good at. The things that you're less good at, you may not become brilliant at, but it will enable you to improve them very, very significantly. There is a third really important benefit that people that have been using NLP have found. The first step in people using NLP is normally about improving their performance. But what they found is that NLP approaches tend to get them to work through what's important to them in life. And in working through what's important to them in life, they find that they are actually much more in control of themselves. So NLP is a discipline that actually leads people to personal freedom. So the benefits from exploring NLP are actually a lot more than just improving performance. My own experience of NLP, I went on my first NLP course about 15 years ago. I was a strategy manager in BT, the telecommunications company. And my issue at the time wasn't so much anything bad was happening, it was just that I was finding everything was hard work. To produce the results that I wanted to, I had to put a significant amount of effort into anything. And that was the same both with my work life and with my own personal relationships. A friend of mine suggested an NLP course. My training manager at work said, Mike, look, we'll send you on it, we'll pay for you to go on it if you report back and give us real straight information as to whether it's been useful for you. And I found in many ways going on that course opened a door in my life. It was the beginning of an adventure that enabled me to have another 10 years success at BT, but also did the foundation work to enable me to start my company up. So I'm really grateful that I explored NLP, and if I had a regret, it was I wish I knew about this stuff 20 years ago. Because it is an approach that will produce advantages to you in life. One of the things I've always been curious about is that in talking about NLP, you'll find people that really, really like it, and as I said before, are almost evangelical about it. Some people use it and just get on and use it to improve their performance, and yet some people are violently opposed to it, or appear violently opposed to it, and you'll come across them in forums saying whatever they have to say. Now, my view of it is as follows. Some people are really positive about NLP because they've been going through a stage of their lives, where we all do, where they've got a little bit stuck. And they needed something just to push them out, just to inspire them, just to be the catalyst out of their stuckness. And they've come to NLP at exactly that right time, and NLP has been an enabler for them to move forward. So obviously when they look back, they are incredibly positive about NLP because they see NLP as the thing that's helped them move forward. So that's why some people are really, really enthusiastic about it. The second group, which in many ways are more interesting, are the people that come to NLP. They realize that there is a whole lot of useful stuff there, some of which works for them, some of which doesn't. And they actually take the stuff which works and they simply go away and use it. And you don't hear much of them other than when you speak to them 2 years, 5 years, 10 years after a training, they have developed very successful lives for themselves using NLP, plus a whole lot of other stuff, but it's been one of the elements that's enabled them to produce the results that they have. The third group's really interesting too. Be aware that some of the things we explore in NLP is beliefs. What beliefs do people have to be successful? We explore all things like hypnotic influence. What is this hypnosis stuff all about? And for some people, it's just too far. Be aware that when it comes to exploring beliefs, for some people, it's just too frightening. Although it is actually quite exciting to do. In fact, it's really exciting to do, and again can produce results. It's just too far for some people, and they switch off and do not want to know, because they've already decided what their world maps is, and if anything, they're trying to convince everybody they're absolutely right, and they don't want anybody coming along maybe questioning some of their beliefs. Not questioning them in a way saying that they're wrong, because what we do when we question beliefs is actually saying we have no view as to what's right to believe or what's wrong to believe, but be aware that your beliefs are affecting your performance. And if you're happy with what you believe, that's great. But if you're not happy with what you're achieving in some ways, do be prepared to explore whether you have a belief set that's useful to you or not useful to you. So how to get NLP to work for you? There are many, many different trainers, there are many different DVDs, CDs, practitioners that will all tell you the virtues or otherwise of NLP. My suggestion for starting is to do what you've actually already started to do on this course. Write down some things that are important to you. And when you've written down some things that are important to you, explore the various exponents of NLP. Listen to some trainers, maybe listen to some DVDs, play with some exercises, and be quite ruthless. The approaches that work for you, hold on to and use. The stuff that doesn't work for you, just put to one side. And by the time you've come to the end of this course, you will have a wide enough understanding of NLP to be able to choose what works for you and what doesn't. And you'll then be in a position, if you choose to go further, to be able to decide what will help you. In many ways, NLP does lead to personal freedom, so start off by making it your own choice about one, what is important to you and what you want to achieve, and then decide which of the various offerings will help you achieve it. And now, a small exercise for you. And I'm keeping the exercises very simple because, one, I want you to do them, but two, it forces you, or it gets you, or it encourages you to think in such a way that you'll find very useful where later in the course we do more complex exercises. So if you remember in the first exercise, I asked you to write down 3 or 4 phrases of things that if you achieve, they would be useful to you. And also to write down some ways that they would be useful to you. The next exercise I want you to do is to choose 4 or 5 people that you currently know that you would like to help you achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. You don't have to get their agreement to help you, but I just want you to write down, to think about who are the 4 best people to advise you on your journey. And when you've done that, I'd like you to complement it by writing another 4 or 5 names down, but these can be a little bit more creative. They don't have to be alive. They could have been born many years ago. They could even be people from the future. They could be people from literature. They could be people from fiction. So you have 2 lists. One list of real people in the world today who can give you decent advice, and a more creative list of people from the past, the future, anywhere that you want, that will be there for inspiration for you. All you need to do is write them down, because writing them down will start the creative process, and we will use this information later on in the series. So a summary on what's next. You now know as much as you need to know about what NLP is to get the best value from the rest of the series. You have written down the key points, what you want, and you've started thinking in some way in selecting the people that you could help you, some of the key resources that will be useful on your journey.